G'day mates, welcome back to my YouTube channel. Competitive Season 8 has officially kicked off this weekend with the FNCS preseason event, and I want to talk about my thoughts right now on the meta, why I think this is going to be one of the best competitive seasons we have ever seen. I want to recap the performances from the team. We had Clix winning NA East, absolutely dominating. A ridiculous clip to show you from Sprite to clutch out one of their games. We also had Mongraal and Benjyfishy unfortunately underperforming. I want to talk about what might be the issue there. We have Tayson's new team, Thomas HD's new team. There's a lot to talk about when it comes to the FNCS preseason event, and we have the official return of Chap. He is coming back. Not only that, he is going to be playing competitive Fortnite, and I want to talk about who he's potentially going to play with because it could shake things up a lot. Before I get into talking about exactly specific teams that did really well and who's been performing the best, I want to talk about this tournament in general because it's a really interesting one. This is a preseason warm-up event that has absolutely no prize money, and the games are ridiculously stacked. I'm talking like active Storm Surge almost every single game of every single round in the major regions, EU and NA East, and even some of the smaller regions I've been seeing getting some pretty stacked games, and that raises a few interesting points. It kind of backs up this theory of why Epic is dropping the prize money. I mean, they're getting phenomenal participation and solid gameplay and exposure for players and an experience for people to kind of play in without any prize money at all. This isn't like only top 3 get money. No one is getting money and everyone is practicing. And I see that kind of comment going around a lot, but I want to kind of talk about how it's also a practice for an FNCS that is for millions of dollars, because I've want to be talking in the past about how I don't particularly think Epic is going to raise the prize pool anytime soon. They're seeing great participation in the game while dropping the prize pool. So as a company, as much as I would love them to invest more money in the game, I really wish they would as far as the prize pools go. I don't think they're going to, but also you got to remember, this is a warm up for what is going to be millions of dollars. If FNCS wasn't around the corner, people would not be taking this as seriously. It's because it's the start of a new season. And I think one big factor is the fact that this season is shaping up, in my opinion, to be one of the best competitive seasons we've seen in a really long time. Obviously, the season's not perfect. I don't think any Fortnite competitive season ever will be perfect. But for the most part, I think this is one of the better metas we've ever seen. And couple that with a really, really good competitive map, it's leading to solid gameplay and people are motivated to play. Like, yeah, I would love some stuff added in there for a bit of fun, like the flint knock. Potentially, I want some items taken out, like maybe the chug cannon and things that, I don't enjoy as much, but overall, I think the meta right now is fantastic, and a lot of people disagree with me, thinking the chug cannon's still great in the game. Even without snipers, it's still making healthy Storm Surge tags, so I could even be wrong in that situation. I don't think there's anything right now in comp that like 100% needs to go, except for probably the railgun. There was quite a few teams running the railgun today, and I realized just how broken it is in competitive. Not just being able to headshot people through walls while they're tarping endgame, also the ability to break 2 bills guaranteed. And when you think when most people tarping, they're building a floor and a cone, the amount of teams I saw today running a railgun on mid ground, looking up, finding someone on a layer above them, building a box around them, and then just instantly dropping them in, and there was nothing that player could do. It was kind of crazy. So I don't think the railgun's meant to be in the game. Only 2 NPCs are selling it. I've talked about in the past, it looks like we've had word potentially from Epic to certain people in the competitive scene that it's not meant to be in the game. So maybe after this evaluation, they take it out, or maybe they watch the evaluation and they like it. I mean, again, it's fun to watch. When I play with an arena, it's fun to play with. I feel bad for the players that are losing to it. I think most of you guys playing don't want it in the game, but if it stayed, I mean, it'd still be fun to watch. So I'm not complaining too heavily, but overall, the meta right now is looking absolutely fantastic. And I think because of that, despite no prize money, the players are really showing up big. So I'm going to be talking about today pretty much as if this is a big tournament with money on the line, because teams are taking it seriously for the most part. Like, yeah, NA East had a big tournament on today, the 18 plus $25,000 tournament. So some teams weren't playing and some of the EU guys slept in. But overall, for the most part, from what I've seen, I think this is going to be a good indicator of how some of these teams are going to perform throughout the season. Straight out of the gate, let's start with NA East and let's talk about some of the new teams and some of the teams that are absolutely dominating. And we have to kick it off with Clix, Tahi, and Sprite, the brand new trio. A lot of pressure on them. Clix hasn't been performing as well as what a lot of his fans and a lot of the people in the community would be expecting the last few seasons, but he's kicked off this season with a bang. They qualified in first place on 183 points, almost 20 points clear of second. They have 8 matches played, 3 wins, an average elims of 10, and an average place of 8.1. There's a few things I want to talk about here. I want to show you an absolutely disgusting clip from Sprite in 1 second. I swear he is like the best endgame solo clutcher when it comes to versing the final team. But not just that, there was a lot of things that could be taken away from watching them play today that made me very excited for Clix's team going into FNCS. And mostly is how they handle what was going wrong. They were joking around, they were messing around. Yes, Clix, you know, makes everyone who plays a little bit sus, and sometimes, you know, it can detract from them taking the game seriously. But as the rounds went on, especially round 3 when they needed to focus up, I love the fact that the team did still have a little bit of fun. They're a bit loose with it, but they focused up a lot more. And especially when there was some criticism from Clix and Sprite towards Tahi on how he was playing high ground, he was jumping down a bit early and going for frags and getting caught out. The team handled it really, really well. So it was exciting to see this kind of dynamic of having fun, messing around, you know, joking around, which I'm sure Clix's viewers love. It's fun, it's high energy, but then when they need to focus up and step up for the big games, they really do. So I have really high hopes for this team coming into FNCS, and I got to show you this clutch from Sprite. I know it's an opens tournament, it's a round 3, and there's no money on the line, but this clutch was pretty disgusting.
No, Tahi has no match, you're playing alone.
Coming down.
Nice. Kill one.
Dead. From here.
Bobby, Tahi. Nice, Tahi.
Dead. Tahi. Drill below us. Drill below us. Here. Okay, can't do anything.
Just
Can't
you.
do anything.
Nice.
Sorry. Got a call.
You can spray him,
You win this. They have nothing. They have nothing. Oh, they have some. Oh my god! Sprite!
Nice, Sprite!
Nice! You get it! We're crazy!
Oh my god! You're crazy!
We're crazy.
You're crazy.
Yo, guys, did you see the hype play though?
Nah, bro.
I should just IGL me.
And I already know what the Clix haters are going to say. Oh, Clix is dead. Tahi pops off, gets 2 kills. Sprite wipes the last trio, getting backpacked, getting carried. Wasn't like that during the tournament, trust me. I think, honestly, all 3 of these guys were performing so insanely well. And just like that, it's entertaining gameplay. Not only are they doing well, the way they play is fun to watch. Like, yeah, I'm a 27-year-old dude. I feel old for Fortnite sometimes. When I watch, you know, Clix Tahi just going crazy, getting sus, it does make me feel even older, but ultimately you can see they're having fun, and that's what I love to see this season, and especially Clix's team. It looks like people are really having fun, and that's what has me so excited for the rest of the season. So insane performance from them. We'll see how they go in set lobbies tomorrow. Obviously the difference between round 3 and round 4 is very different, but a very dominant start for Clix's team. They play in 1 tournament earlier in the season. They're conned on spawn. They win 4 times in a row and win the whole tournament, and now they've won round 3. So the 2 most stacked examples we have for this team, and they've come first both times. We have another brand new team, Nosh, Nut, and Chucky in second, performing insanely well on 166 points. Narwhal, Knifer, and Zlem in third, and they weren't doing too well at the start of the tournament, but they brought it back with 3 back-to-back victory hours for their last 3 games of the day. D-Rollo, Spegu, Charlie. We had Niddle, Casca, Smacked, Osp, Visuals, Frist, and then we had Bucky, Peterbot, and Macwood. Now, this team is still so confusing to me, obviously with all the beef, all the drama between Macwood and Peterbot's team last season. Peterbot has slotted into this team, and he's slotted in well. You thought that Sprite clip was nuts? That isn't even the best clip I've got for you today. I want to show you what happened when Peterbot's team went up against none other than Day, Jamper, and Tragics in a 1v3, and I'm not talking like when you guys call it a 1v3 sometimes and the teammates are there doing damage, they just finish them. No, a straight 1v3 on Day, Tragics, and Jamper. Just look at it.
Oh,
Start tagging them up, Peter.
They're carring towards me. Cracked
Yeah,
one, 50
you-
white.
Nice.
They're keying me.
You gotta stay alive.
I'm dead.
20,
Dead.
40.
Nice, Peter.
You're crazy, bro.
I'm on my way.
Dead.
Mm,
Crazy.
Stay.
Insane.
20 on the other.
Oh my god, get one of these.
Now, I don't want to do Day, Jamper, and Tragics dirty. They still played phenomenally well. They came in 14th, so don't worry. They were up there. We had Slacks, Jack, and Acorn in 15th. We had another team I want to talk about, a brand new team. We had Eomzo, Qua, and Paper qualify in 4 games. They played 5, but their last game, they only got a 1 elim 23rd, so they technically qualified and got a top 33 performance with 4 games. So they're fragging out. They look insane. You know that's going to be an aggressive pop-off team. I want to see how they go go in set lobbies tomorrow, though. Other than that, obviously, there's some other teams I haven't talked about, but like we had Asia's, Dukes, and Kanata. They're not a real team. They played together because, again, some of their teammates were caught up in that 18+ tournament. Same with Centered's team. So if there's big teams or big players in the top 33 and I haven't talked about them, or they didn't perform too well, or you're seeing new names and you're like, wait, why is Centered, Edgy, Commember no longer together? Don't freak out. NA East was a little bit different because a lot of those guys were playing with different teams, but I still don't think that takes away from some of the teams like Clix's who've come out of nowhere, first games of the season in a proper tournament and are absolutely popping off. You have to respect that. So even though some of the big teams weren't there, I still think with active Storm Surge games, every single game they played, getting a really good performance in this tournament it's a good indicator for things to come. Moving on to EU now, and this one's a bit interesting because EU didn't have a big tournament on. They didn't have anything else to play. So most of the EU guys are playing with their real teams, which makes me think that the EU leaderboards especially are an even better indication of how teams are going to go because pretty much everyone was playing and taking it relatively seriously as well. Now, straight out of the gate, before I even talk about this one, I didn't make a video yesterday because it was only round 1. We did have Benjyfishy's team, Benjyfishy, Joe, and Shadow not even make it out of round 1. Didn't make a statement, didn't see Benjy say anything on Twitter. None of them really said anything, so it looks like they're not going to split up over it. A lot of people freaking out like that's a terrible performance. They didn't play the best. Not making it out of round 1 is very, very scary. I don't know what went wrong there. They weren't streaming it. I went back in the VODs a little bit, just saw what just looked like some pretty lackluster gameplay. Can't really offer any more comment. The other team I see copping a lot of heat is we had Mongraal's team, also not placed top 33 today. They only just made it out of round 2 into round 3. Mongraal was streaming and round 3 kicked off with 3 times dying on spawn. Mongraal ended stream. I was trying to track them on the leaderboard. They had some comeback games. They had a couple of big games, but honestly, across the board, they just weren't playing that consistent. And a lot of people in the community now taking the chance to jump on Mongraal yet again, saying they're not doing very well. Nate should leave them. Nate's way too good for them. Fast Jockey's not the best IGL. Mongraal seems lost. I've seen a lot of hate out there, and it puts me in a tough position because I think these games were incredibly stacked. So I think they are a good indicator of how teams will perform throughout the seasons. But some teams maybe weren't taking it seriously, and that's up to you whether you think that's a valid excuse or not. I mean, Mongraal's been talking a lot about maturing as a player and taking the game seriously and wanting to perform and prove people wrong. So I hope he was taking it seriously. If he wasn't, he's probably only got himself to blame there. And if he was taking it seriously and they didn't perform, I don't think it's that terrible. Like, it's a top 33 situation. That's a pretty good placement that you need. Their first time playing proper set lobbies together that aren't just in scrims. A lot of people also confused as to why they went Believers Beach, which I'm a bit confused by as well. I know Nate is very, very good out at Believers Beach, and I'm sure that Mongraal and Fast Jockey know how to drop there, but I really want to see that team pick a drop spot and practice it as what their drop spot is going to be if they make round 4. There is no way they are going to contest Believers Beach against Tayson if they make round 4. So I would much rather see them maybe go a different drop spot. A lot of teams also look to Believers Beach as like the hot drop W key drop spot to go because it does have so much loot at it. It's one of the best POIs still on the map. So I don't know. I can't give you a really in-depth reason as to why Mongraal's team didn't perform because without them streaming, you can't really hear the comms. You can't really see, what was breaking down, what was going wrong. But it's 2 big names that I was very excited for that have had a shaky start to the season though. Let's look at the rest of the EU leaderboard because we had some really new teams absolutely pop off and show up big, just like Clix's. We had Rifler, Marion, and Paco in first on 177 points. So EU looking like already between the top 2 as well. We had Waze's team, or Wise, in second, getting 171. So already EU's top 2 was a lot higher up than NA East in comparison. Obviously, Clix's team carrying NA up there at the very top. We did have a pretty big drop off there after that with Fly's team. We had Anas, Thomas HD, and Queasy. I talked about them recently. Absolutely popping off in scrims and smaller tournaments, coming top 4. We have iDrop's team in 5th. We have Vidil, Noel Riley, and Rezon back together, already gelling and mixing well in 6th place. We then had Zinni or Zinni's team in 7th, and we had Tayson's new team. Of course, Tayson's going to get a top 10, even with a new team yet again. We had Janice, Tayson, and Chaps in 8th, and there was a lot of really good performances across the board. Enlix's team in 11th as well. We have Astro's new team in 13th. We have Malabuka in 15th. Now, we already have a bunch of rivalry going on between Malibuca and Mr. Savage again. Mr. Savage's team throwing out accusations of Malibuca's team stream sniping them, deliberately leaving games just to contest them on spawn to try to not get them into round 4. So if Savage's team, if Savage and Dread and Refscard are going steamy stacks again, they're gonna see Malibuca again. And they made it. We have Savage's team coming in 18th as well. So I guess sparks are gonna fly again tomorrow. We're gonna see the fireworks. I don't know. I feel like one of them needs to leave. And honestly, at this point, I want it to be Savage only because Savage has now had one FNCS pretty much completely ruined by Steamy. I would say Andretta and Refscard have had what, 3 now? Maybe 4? You guys know my feelings about the drop. It's just, I'm not a fan. It seems to be where all the griefing goes on and where everyone gets locked into these big ego battles. I just don't like Steamy. We have Seti, Kami, and Teak with their now insanely buffed Kami split. I mean, Kami split every season just gets better and better. So of course, they were going to do well yet again in 24th. We had Hen, Trulex, and Mitro in 28. Now, this is an interesting one as well. Mitro is not going to be actually playing in this team. I think it's because Queasy slept in. I believe Queasy slept in through the qualifiers, so Mitro stepped in as a fill, but they've now come 28th. I mean, if they do really well tomorrow, has Mitro found his new team? Like, would Hen and Trulix be willing to drop Queasy if they think Mitro is going to work with him? I'm just saying, I'm not putting it out there as a guaranteed thing. I haven't heard anything. I haven't seen anything on social media. I'm just saying, if you perform really, really well, you know, with one of the best players in the world in the history of time, Mitro hasn't been, you know, performing too well recently. It might be enough to be like, hey, let's see how Mitro goes for the rest of the season. So, I mean, I'm excited. The EU leaderboard is incredibly stacked. I should probably mention now as well, guys, I'm going to be doing a viewing party on my Twitch channel, twitch.tv/Aussie Antics. I'll be watching all the games, NA East and EU. I'll be doing a replay mode viewing party as well. So I'm going to go in replay mode, following all the big names, following all the big teams. And don't worry, you know, tomorrow I'll do a full recap video on who performs well, because this is our first time in an official tournament to see both NA East and EU and all the guys go head to head. I wanted to round out today's video with the confirmation that Chap is coming back, not just to Fortnite, but to competitive Fortnite as well. I talked about it recently. I've actually been DMing Chap myself personally because I love Chap and I really wanted to see him come back. And I didn't want to leak it. He was pretty much across the line. He was saying that he's probably going to come back, but we have the confirmation today with a tweet. Chap tweeting out, looking for 2 Zone Wars gods to carry me in FNCS. DM my talent agent at Stretch with serious inquiries. Now, I found this interesting as well because Stretch then retweeted this saying, DM me only if you're serious. Made Skittles, made Dukes, made Threats, made AV, not current AV, bit of AV slander there. Obviously hasn't been doing as well recently. 2nd, 4th, 6th in grands from Chap here on the beat. And I think that's an interesting tweet as well, because a lot of people are going to be wondering, how well do I think Chap's going to do coming back? At first, not the greatest. His mechs are still pretty decent as far as it goes for being an IGL and tarp. I was watching him creative the other day. He can most definitely still tarp. Fighting is going to be a bit trickier. Obviously, he hasn't really played now for about half a year properly. A lot of mechanics have gone up quite a lot in that time, especially IGLs. You look at the fighting abilities of the top tier IGLs right now, like Tayson and Scented. Chap just doesn't compare to that level. Fair to say, I love the guy, he'll admit it as well. But if he's coming back, putting in the hours, and he wants to pick up 2 Zone Wars demons, I find it interesting that Chap always does this, and a lot of you guys might question it, but as Stretch just said there, some of, like, 4 of the best players that we now have in top tier teams have come from playing with Chap. He's almost, like, discovered them, kind of nurtured them, trained them, and now they've gone on to do amazing things. I could see him doing it again. Unfortunately, the Zone Wars scene recently has started to die off a little bit, with, you know, wages being banned on stream, and now a lot of pros only doing tokens, but it not being as popular as what it used to be. And also with BFC not really running anymore, it does seem like it's going to be harder to find those Zone Wars demons. The first one that comes to mind for me is Laylam, Arab's brother, an absolute demigod when it comes to Zone War, has been taking comp really seriously. I could see for the most, that's who I could most likely see going with Chap right now. Don't know who the last player will be. I'm really intrigued to see, because I follow the comp scene pretty closely, as you guys know. I did back in the day as well, and a lot of the times when Chap picked up these players like Skittles, Dukes, Threats, and AV, hadn't really heard about them at the time, and now they are some of the best players in North America East. So I mean, like, I'm excited for it. Chap's back, and I really hope he pops off, but I'm also very worried that if he doesn't perform instantly, there's going to be a lot of people being very toxic, despite the fact that a 6-month break's a pretty long period of time. It's going to be rough for Chap to step back in. There's only 2 qualifying weeks as well, but hey, he's got a few weeks of Cash Cups, got a few weeks of Scrims. Scrims are running really well in NA East right now. That's a really good way to get his practice up quickly, and hey, if Chap makes grands, I would absolutely love to see it. All right, guys, that does it for another video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please chuck a like on it. Let me know in the comments section down below your thoughts on anything I talked about today. If you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel. It would mean the world to me. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you in the next one.